Being 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosbus.
Here.
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Lynn.
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Okay, we're all here. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, if we could have a moment of silence for those that have lost their lives and the families that have been affected over the tragedy that occurred in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Thank you very much. I would also, at this time, ask those with cell phones if they would please put them on vibrate or silence them. We would appreciate it. We also are pleased to have with us tonight former Commissioner Jay Gage, who is now the UP representative for our state senator, or our federal senator, Debbie Stabenow. So again, Jay, it's always nice to see you. Okay, we're going to get into the third quarter customer service award, and the city manager will make his way to the mic. And as he's doing that, I just want to remind people, and we remind people again at the end of the meeting, that tomorrow is voting day in the city of Sault Ste. Marie, and we encourage those to get out and vote, please. Thank you. City manager.
Well, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and community. If I could please have Tracy Leighton join me at the podium. And we have a guest with us. Hello. At its January 18th, 2016 regular meeting, the Sault Ste. Marie City Commission adopted a citizen service philosophy. This service philosophy calls on all employees to take ownership in being positive ambassadors for the city government and the community, to be mindful that first impressions or chance encounters can define the identity of the city and even encourage guests or others to move to or invest in the community, and to strive for excellence in service standards at all times. This service philosophy also states that an emphasis is to be placed on teamwork, a commitment to coworkers, and a prudent management of community resources. At the time of the adoption of this philosophy, the City Commission requested that City Administration develop a means to publicly thank and recognize those employees whose actions reflect and embody the citizen service philosophy. Accordingly, City Administration has developed a process whereby employees are nominated by their peers for excellence in citizen service. These nominations are reviewed by an internal committee that meets quarterly, which forwards its recommendation to the city manager. I'm pleased to announce that Sault Ste. Marie Economic Development Corporation Specialist Tracy Leighton has earned the Exemplary Citizen Service Award for the third quarter of 2017. Since joining the city and the EDC in 2016 in the position of specialist, Tracy exercises constant diligence and a phenomenal capacity for establishing goals and achieving them with accuracy and integrity. Tracy's expertise in public outreach and engagement has significantly boosted the city's efforts to actively engage with the public through social media and other venues. In the field of economic development, where responsiveness matters and service is of paramount importance, Tracy also serves as an outstanding ambassador and advocates for the benefit of the entire community. I'm pleased to present this award to Tracy tonight, signed by both the mayor and myself, for her diligence and commitment, and to recognize Tracy for her excellence in service and commitment to the community. Thank you, Tracy.
Very good, Tracy. Very good.
Okay, great. No question, the EDC and the city and the surrounding area are certainly very fortunate to have Tracy as a resident and also as a fellow worker. Okay, item number 2 is public comment on scheduled agenda items. Any person may reserve time on the agenda to speak on an agenda item, but not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to item number 3, the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager, Troyer.
Under the consent agenda, A, minute approval. 1, approval of the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting of October 16, 2017. Recommended action is to approve the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting of October 16, 2017. Item 2, acceptance of the minutes of the following boards and commissions. A, Airport Advisory Board of September 14th. B, Brownfield Redevelopment Authority of August 22nd. C, Community Services Board of October 24th. D, Downtown Development Authority of October 11th. E, Economic Development Corporation of September 19th. F, Historic Structures Management Committee of September 28th and October 12th. G, Local Development Finance Authority of October 3rd. H, Planning Commission of October 5th. I, Police and Fire Pension Board of September 20th. J, Police Fire Pension Board of October 18th. And K, TIFA 3 of August 8th. Recommended action is to accept the minutes of the various boards and commissions. Item B, appointments and resignations. 1, reappointment to the Community Services Board. Recommended action is to reappoint Tony Haller to the Community Services Board for a term to expire July 1, 2020. Item 2, reappointment to the Historic Structures Management Committee. Recommended action, reappoint Roger Blanchard to the Historic Structures Management Committee for a term to expire September 1, 2019. Item C, communications. 1, from the Community Services Board. Proposed summer and winter recreation user fees for 2018-2019. Recommended action is to approve to eliminate the Malcolm Park user fees for the upcoming season 2017-2018 and for the new fiscal year 2018-2019 for the regular ball field users. However, keep the tournament fees as is currently charged for both current and 2018-19 fiscal years. Item 2 under communications is from the Historic Structures Management Committee. Proposed summer user fees for 2018-2019. Recommended action is approve the proposed user fee schedule for the historic structures for the fiscal year 2018-19 as presented. Item D, City Manager's Report. 1, authorization to submit to the Walmart Community Grant. Recommended action is to approve the submission of a Walmart Community Grant application. Item 2 under City Manager's Report is authorization of an agreement with Northwest Design Group for professional services for Bingham Avenue Bridge Capital Preventative Maintenance. Recommended action is to authorize the execution of an agreement with Northwest Design Group for professional services for the Bingham Avenue Bridge Capital Preventative Maintenance Project.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a commissioner that would like something further explained on the consent agenda? Commissioner Twardy.
I so move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay, it has been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 4, special orders of business. A, second reading of an ordinance to rezone Lot 6, Block 1, Maurice Ready Addition from R1 to I1. A is public comments and B is action on the ordinance.
Okay, thank you very much. City Manager Turner.
Thank you, Mayor Bospas. On this matter, I've requested that Community Development Director Freeman present to the Commission and community.
Okay,
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Evening.
So our subject property is located on the south side of Peck Street, just east of West Portage Avenue. It consists of a single 41-foot wide and 117-foot deep platted lot that's presently developed with a 35 by 100 metal-sided building. Originally, it was constructed in the early 60s with an addition in the mid-70s. It's currently used by Mr. Mattson, the owner, for storage of personal items. And the request is to rezone it from its current R1 zoning designation to I1. So as the property is currently zoned R1, which is a single-family zoning district, historical zoning maps indicate that it seems to have always been that way. We're not quite sure how the building came to be in its current form. The only path that I'm aware of would be through Zoning Board of Appeals, but we don't have any records prior to 1975. And absent a rezoning, which we know never happened, that would have been the only way for it to have come to be there. The building at 751 Peck, which is currently home to Vital Signs, is similarly constructed, and as far as the timeline, materials, and had an addition right around the same time. It was rezoned from R1 to I1 in late 1965, along with the building that Feeding America used to be located in. That's on the north side of that block. The 1965 rezoning was omitted from a zoning map, a revision in the past, so everything in that area showed as R1. You can see the two parcels on the west end of the block. Vital Signs is here, Old Feeding America building is here, and our property in question is highlighted there. So presently within the R1 district, uses are fairly limited. Obviously single-family homes with things like public libraries, parks, recreational facilities, municipal uses, schools, and then some limited utility uses. Reusing this property for R1 purposes would require fairly extensive conversion of the existing building or demolition and new construction. The future land use map anticipates low-density single-family, which is consistent with how we thought the area had been zoned. That's the entire corner, including Vital Signs and the old Feeding America building. Obviously, when you do expansions of industrial zoning adjacent to single-family, that's something you really pay quite a bit of attention to, since they're at the opposite ends of the intensity spectrum. And depending on the nature of things, you can obviously have some fairly significant impacts. Within the I-1 district, things like warehousing, wholesaling, trucking, limited manufacturing, machine shops, contractor storage yards, building material storage and sales are allowed. The property is relatively small at just over 1/10 of an acre, and that's going to really limit what can be done with it. Even if it's combined with the Vital Signs property next door, you're still only at 1/3 of an acre, which for bona fide industrial use is really not a whole lot of space. Looking at our industrial parks, most of those lots are 2.5 acres plus. So there's really not a whole lot of utility here on these properties to do something really obnoxious. Any new buildings, of course, the zoning requirements would apply. Current R1 district by design obviously is very restrictive. It renders the property as it was originally developed very difficult to affordably repurpose in a way that's consistent with the current zoning. And there are really two big concerns that I have. First of all is that a future owner will neglect the building, let it fall into disrepair because there's no economical way to use it. Or it could become an enforcement issue with the future owner just simply disregarding the zoning. And we don't want to quite deal with that. So the proposed I-1 zoning, I think, strikes the best mix between protection for the residents and purposeful reuse of the property. The owner of the property would receive an economic benefit, and the neighborhood has the security that a future owner will hopefully be diligent in maintaining it, and it'll bring the property out of the zoning shadow, so to speak, and benefit everybody involved. There was one objection to the request, which was included with your packet. That came from a property owner on Peck Street, or on Eureka Street, I'm sorry. The recommendation is to approve the requested rezoning from R1 to I1. The Planning Commission had a public hearing at their October 5th meeting and made a recommendation 7-0 to approve.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, do you have any additional comments?
Nothing further to add to that presentation, just to reemphasize that proposed change from R1 to I1 is something that is closely scrutinized, but appreciate the diligence that staff and Planning Commission utilize in reviewing the request and recognizing that future uses that may be very negative to the neighborhood would be constrained by the geography of the parcel.
Okay.
Concur with the recommendation. Thank you.
Okay. Then this is the second reading. We've already conducted a first reading, so we'll go into the public comment at this time. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment on the proposed ordinance at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public comment. City Commissioner Lynn.
I so move we approve the traffic control order.
Support.
Okay, it has been moved. No. We got to close the public comment period at this point, and then we move to, that's the correct motion, right?
No. The correct motion would be to approve the ordinance to rezone Lot 6, Block 1,
Oh.
Maurice Ready Edition.
That's what I said.
Yes, city manager. Okay. And it's supported, right?
Yes.
Okay, are there any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes, motion carried, thank you.
Item B under special orders of business, a second reading of an ordinance to rezone the west 28 feet of Lot 17 of all of Lot 18, Block 4, Fort Brady addition. A is public comments and B is action on the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. City manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Community Development Director Freeman.
Good evening again, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening again. You're going to be here for a few more.
We're not even halfway there yet.
Okay.
So our subject property in this case is located at roughly the northeast corner of Bingham Avenue and Maple Street. It consists of a single building, two-story, with a single-story attached garage at the rear. The two-story portion was constructed around 1900, with a single-story portion around 1915. And the request is to rezone the property from RM1, which is multiple family, to B3, which is general business. So presently, the property is zoned RM1. Looking at all the zoning maps, even back to the original 1927, the property's always had a multifamily zoning designation. But looking at the history, it looks like automotive uses were established on the property prior to the existence of zoning in the city of Sault Ste. Marie. So we've typically seen cases where a use was established and zoning was changed afterward to something that was inconsistent with it. This one is just a use that's always been there and it never came into conformance with its zoning designation. Here you can see the parcels in question. There's 3 of them that make up the entire site. So right now, the transition away from automotive uses makes it an appropriate time to revisit the zoning on the property. I know City Manager Turner will speak to it a little bit more, but there's a proposal for a restaurant to go into that facility. So the future land use map shows the subject property in the central business district designation, which was consistent with the B3 zoning designation. Obviously, having a commercial zoning designation will allow a lot more flexibility in what has historically been a commercial building. There's no staff concerns regarding neighborhood compatibility. The zoning change aligns the building with its historical use, and the property is unlikely to be redeveloped for multifamily uses in the near or distant future. Figure it's been near enough, doesn't matter to 100 years. Probably not going to happen in our lifetimes anyway. And obviously having zoning designation that fits with the physical structure provides a lot more clarity for the owner, future or present. No public comment received. Oddly enough, most people who have commented on this said, well, I thought that was commercial the whole time, because that's always been some kind of repair business ever since I've been in town. So the Planning Commission heard this case at their October 5th meeting, recommended 7-0 to approve, and the recommendation before the Commission tonight is to receive any public comment and approve the rezoning as requested.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, you have any additional comments?
Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Freeman. As the Commission is aware, previously at the prior City Commission meeting, both Commissioners Baker and Lynn abstained on this matter. And in the similar interest of transparency, it should be noted that EDC Executive Director Holt is working with Commissioner Baker on a proposed development and whether it would be eligible for brownfield incentives as it would be for the scope of the project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so for the record, Commissioner Baker and Lynn will not be speaking on either of these. City Commission. First of all, I guess we should go to the public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 2, which is the action item. Commissioner Tuarty.
Thank you. Well, I had a question. It doesn't really have anything to do with the rezoning. I am in favor of that. But one thing that, because I live just around the corner from there, and I know that St. Mary's School is there, and St. Mary's Church is right there. And I know that the north side of the street is always the safe route to school. And so I was just concerned a little bit if we do rezone it to commercial, that whole corner, in my mind, now becomes a not safe route to school, which is the north side of Maple Street. And so just bringing it to your attention that we may want to reconsider or move the safe route to school. I don't know, taking that corner into consideration with trucks coming in and out with deliveries and more automotive activity right there in that corner. Just a thought. But then, that being said, I would like to make the motion if I can.
Sure.
I move that we rezone the west 28 feet of Lot 17 of all Lot 18, Block 4, Fort Brady addition from RM-1 to B-3 as submitted.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Question, Commissioner Bauer?
I thought that the other side of the street on Maple Street was the safe route to school, and the north side of Armory was the safe route to school. Does anyone know definitively? Because I believe that is,
I believe you're correct on that.
yeah,
That would
not
be-
the north side.
What's always,
It's
Yeah.
the side that
South,
the
the
school
school's
is on.
on, is the south side. I was going to mention that, but, yeah.
okay, because I was, can
So
I
it's
speak?
not an
I'm
issue.
sorry, can I speak?
Okay,
I'll yield.
okay.
Okay,
Commissioner Tuarte?
okay, thank you. Well, just, we had a lot of, and you might be right, but I was, last year when there was a lot of parking issues on Armory Place last year, when we were considering moving the safe route to school to the south side of the street, I was told that safe routes to school are always on the north side of the street. So, but I believe you're
believe
right, though.
that the safe route to school is always the side of the street that the school is on.
Something to look into,
Yep.
City Manager. At least it's something that can be changed if it's not, because the south side would make more
More
sense being on the
sense.
same side as the school. Okay.
One thing that I had not considered until Commissioner Tuarte brought up the proximity to the school and the church is that if there's going to possibly be a liquor license, I don't know, I didn't get my tape measure out, but I know that that alcohol is not allowed to be served within X amount of feet of a school or a church. So I'm assuming that you already know the answer to that. So
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
Any other comments? We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer,
yes,
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarte,
Yes.
Mayor Boswis.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Item C under special orders of business, second reading of an ordinance to rezone approximately 8.29 acres located on the north side of 3 Mile Road, approximately 1/3 mile east of Ashman Street from RSV to RM-1. A is public comments and B is action on the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. On this third and final rezoning of the night, would again invite Director Freeman to present to the
Evening.
Good evening again. So this property is on the north side of 3 Mile. You can see it highlighted there in blue. Just for point of reference, this is Tapwango Farms here, and this is, I think, the Family Services Agency building. So right now, the property is an undivided 8.2-acre section of a larger parcel currently under the ownership of Sioux Schools. And Chippewa County Family Project is looking to purchase a portion of the property to provide housing for minors without a safe home environment. As right now, I guess they have to send a number of them out of the area. So they're looking to rezone the property from its current RSV designation to RM1. So the property's been owned by the school district since 1968. It's always had a single-family zoning designation. Of note, the proposed zoning district would allow up to 152 bedroom units on the property, but we'll discuss here in not too long that that's not really a likely reality. Here is the zoning map. You can see the subject property highlighted. So the future land use map shows the property in question in the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space category, but there's really no definition of what that actually means. In speaking with Mrs. Holt, there's quite a bit of wetland presence on the property, so the buildable area is actually fairly small. So that'll be a very notable limiting factor as to the intensity of what can occur there. So a large percentage of it is undevelopable without significant mitigation costs. Looking further into the master plan, it provides a goal to encourage the phased development of vacant and underutilized areas. They can support various levels of development with minimum changes to topography and natural features of the area. And from my point of view, this seems to be kind of a hand-in-glove consistency with that goal. There's no concerns from staff. Development of the area is pretty mixed. There's single-family homes, there's best lawn care right across the street, kind of a mixed bag of different things. There were 3 comments received, 2 in favor and 1 gentleman who was more or less indifferent to it. The Planning Commission heard the request at their October 5th meeting and made a recommendation to the City Commission unanimously to approve. So the recommendation before the Commission tonight is to hear any public comment and approve the rezoning as requested.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, anything additional?
Nothing further. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll hold the public comment portion of the ordinance. Is there anyone that would like to make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public comment. City Commission, Commissioner Gary.
I make a motion to approve the rezoning request. Support.
It has been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Bosphus,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item D under special orders of business is consideration of a land division application submitted by Sioux Area Public Schools to divide an approximately 8.29 acre parcel of land from an approximately 29.29 acre parent parcel located on the north side of 3 Mile Road, approximately 1/3 mile east of Ashman Street.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Mr. Freeman.
Last but not least, so this is the companion land division to the rezoning. Here's our subject property again, and here is a certificate of survey. This is included in your packet for those of you without keen vision like myself. There's 2 things it has to meet. First of all are the requirements of the Land Division Act. There's no issues there. And zoning ordinance, no issues there. There's been no public comment received, and the Planning Commission voted unanimously at their October 5th meeting to recommend approval of the Land Division as requested.
Okay, City Manager, anything additionally?
Nothing further. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, at this time, we'll hold the public comment. Is there anyone in the audience like to make a comment on this parcel? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public comment. Let's go to Commissioner Baker.
Move that we approve the requested land division as submitted.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Bosphus,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 5, communications. A, from the Local Development Finance Authority, approval of addendum to Smart Zone Agreement.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Turner.
Thank you, Mayor. On this item, EDC Executive Director Holt is presenting to the Commission and community.
Okay. Good evening, Jeff.
Good evening. What you have before you is a summary of our local LDFA, and we report on a regular basis to the state our tax increment finance information. And they have adjusted the reporting requirements that as such didn't exactly, we were a little concerned about it. And so we went to the state, and you'll see in your packet that our concerns, and they did reply saying that they recognize our concerns and agree that we can show the information requested in certain parts of the reporting with an asterisk, if you will, stating that the information that is reported is from a third party. And they were okay with that. And as a further information, this reporting requirement is under review by the state, that they realize that it puts the LDFAs in a position where they're not really comfortable. The information doesn't come directly from us. It comes from a third party, which we certainly trust, but we wanted to make that information or that concern public to the state. The state person that we wrote the letter to is a partner with one of the folks that is attends our LDFA meetings, a Mr. Frederick Mullner from the MEDC. And he's on board with this, and he likes the way we've shown due diligence and concern for reporting requirements. I think that's about all I can add to this.
Any questions of Jeff? Commissioner Bauer.
I have no question, but I would move that the commission authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute that addendum to smart zone agreement as presented by the MEDC.
Support. Okay, it's been moved, supported. City manager, anything additionally?
Only that appreciate the efforts of Director Holt, the EDC staff, and the LDFA members in addressing this matter, and as Chairman Gary Sharp. They had 2 meetings during which this was a topic of discussion, and they exhaustively reviewed it, and appreciate those efforts.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, we have a motion to support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, item number 6. We are into the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Item A under the city manager's report would provide for the award of a bid for the purchase of a plow truck, cab, and chassis. On this matter, DPW Director Jim Mora will present to the commission.
Evening, James.
Good evening. In this fiscal year, the street department budgeted for a new plow truck. And this particular purchase requires 2 separate bids, one for the cab and chassis and the other for the plow equipment to be installed upon it. And this particular request is for the cab and chassis. We reviewed all of our existing plow trucks. We have 5 of them right now to see what works and what doesn't. And we came up, when we wrote the specs, we came up with a couple differences. The first one is we've been installing some wing plows, you know, the side plows that widen the plowing width on a couple of our trucks. And we found that the ones that we have now aren't quite heavy duty enough. We're having a few suspension problems, minor suspension problems, but problems nonetheless. So we need a bigger, heavier duty truck. And also, we found that our older trucks with the steel cabs are corroding quite badly. So the newer trucks that we have aluminum cabs on it. They last a lot longer. We can get almost 20 years out of them, we figure. So those are the 2 things that we really want to focus on our specs. Other than that, our plow trucks are fine. We sent out, additionally, we put one line item in the specs, and we wanted to get the cost of all-wheel drive, like a hydraulic or conventional front-end powered axle, where we would like to reduce our grader fleet from 3 to 2 graders. Graders are very expensive, about $350,000 when said and done. And we believe that a front-wheel drive heavy-duty plow truck with a wing such as this would handle those areas, those plowing routes that require traction versus momentum. For example, Riverside Drive, we can get by with a plow truck because it has momentum. We have the speed to just push that through. Little Italy, we have to have a grader because it's slow, it's tight turn. We have to have that traction and that power. So it's something that we want to get a price on. Anyway, so we put that as a line item in the specs, not something that we want to purchase right now, but want to know what it costs for in the future should we wish to do that. We've sent out to bid packs to 5 truck suppliers, different brands, and city clerk put it in the evening news and on our website. And we received 3 bids, opened them up, and they range from $88,000 to $95,200. So they're relatively close on a truck this large. We had 3 bids. One was a Western Star. The cab did not meet specifications. It didn't have the aluminum cab. It had a high turning radius, and differential in the gear ratio was too high. So we took that one out of the mix. The Kenworth also didn't meet specs because the exhaust went underneath the truck. It didn't have the top stack, so it conflicted with the installation of the underbody scraper, you know, the bottom plow that we scrape most of the roads with. The only one that met all the specs was a Peterbilt. So that is our recommendation tonight for the Peterbilt. And they also give us a $1,500 deduction if we pay for it within 2 days when they send it to the fabricator. So the total cost is be $93,700. It's within budget, and it's a fine truck, and that's what we're asking for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Jim? City Manager, anything additionally?
Just appreciate the effort that went into researching this and its continued use of this type of equipment to benefit the community.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lynn?
Your Honor, I was so moved the City Commission award the bid for the purchase of the single-axle truck cab and chassis from JX Peterbilt of Green Bay, Wisconsin, a total cost of $93,700.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B, under the City Manager's report, would provide for the award of a bid for the installation of plow and sanding equipment on the supplied truck chassis. On this matter, again, Mr. Morrow.
Okay.
Thank you. Again, this next request is for the equipment to be installed on the previously approved plow truck. It involves the underbody scraper and the refurbishment and the installation of a drop-in sander unit that we salvaged from an older plow truck that we have to save some money. It's a stainless steel unit, so it'll with a minimal amount of money, we can get another 15, 20 years out of it. And a front plow, and all the controls to go with it. We sent out for bids to 2 different fabricators because fabricators are few and far between. Also put it in the evening news and on our website, and we received 1 bid, and that was from Truck and Trailer Specialties of Boyne Falls, and they've done a lot of work for us. I think they've done close to a dozen trucks for us, and they've done a lot for the county and other local entities also. And we reviewed all the specs, and we decided to delete the front plow for $9,300 because we already have a spare front plow. It'll just hook right up to the truck that we're getting right now. We put that in there just simply because plow trucks, or the front plows, get a lot of abuse. They're hitting stuff, they're bumping into things, and not as much as we want it to do, but it just happens. So we have to work on them every once in a while. So anyway, so I do recommend that we award the bid to Truck and Trailer of Boyne Falls for $66,083.63.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Jim? City Manager, before we go to the Commission, anything?
Thank you, Mayor. Just would reiterate, as Mr. Morrow mentioned, that between the last item, which was approved by the City Commission, and this proposed purchase, that the total cost is within the budgeted amount of $160,000.
Real close to the budget amount by. Good job. Commissioner Twardy.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. It's just always great. Every time you come up here and you give us your recommendation on purchasing something, you're always saving the city money with the extra work that you and your department goes through to try and make things fit and do a lot of in-house work yourselves that I think we're pretty lucky here in Sault Ste. Marie. I don't know if other municipalities are as lucky, but you do a lot of in-house work that saves the city money, so thank you.
Well, I do appreciate that, but there's some fine people in other cities too. So.
We like to use the word fortunate.
Yes, fortunate.
Any other comments? We have a motion and support.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, sure.
Okay. I move that the City Commission award the bid of $66,083.63 from Truck and Trailer Specialties of Boyne City, Michigan for the installation of plow and sanding equipment on the supplied truck chassis.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins? Yes. Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C, under the City Manager's report, would provide authorization to adjust city health care thresholds. As City Commissioners are aware, the City Commission, in accordance with the various collective bargaining agreements and established practice, has previously defined thresholds for the amount of money the city will expend on a monthly basis to offer each eligible employee and their eligible family members health care. During its October 2nd regular meeting,
the City Commission unanimously approved an increase in the monthly threshold for the two-person coverage from $1,031 to $1,042, and approved an increase in the monthly threshold for family coverage from $1,307 to $1,323 while keeping the existing monthly threshold of $493 for single coverage in place, effective January 1st, 2018. Following this action, the city's agent, Lee Brown with Superior Insurance Agency, informed the city that when the proposed and approved plan was submitted to Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, underwriting for final processing, that the rates were returned lower than initially projected. The Special Health Determining Committee subsequently reviewed the positive news of the rates being returned lower than initially anticipated and felt that it was critical to return to the City Commission with a recommendation that the thresholds that were in place for the 2017 calendar year be retained for the 2018 calendar year to achieve cost savings. As commissioners will recall, the thresholds are very competitive with and less than the hard caps that are provided for within Public Act 152 of 2011. As City Manager, I would like to express my appreciation to the members of the Special Health Determining Committee for their integrity in returning this matter to the City Commission and its sustained focus on achieving cost savings for both the employees and City of Sault Ste. Marie. Their hard work is a credit to the effectiveness of the existing structure, and it would be my recommendation that the City Commission first rescind the increase in thresholds approved during the October 2nd regular meeting of the City Commission, and secondarily establish the thresholds for the calendar year beginning January 1st, 2018, in the amounts of $493 for employees receiving single coverage, $1,031 for employees receiving two-person coverage, and $1,307 for employees receiving family coverage, which are equivalent to the 2017 thresholds. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gary.
Is that one or two motions?
There's two separate motions. Thank you.
I make a motion to rescind the increase in thresholds approved during the October 2nd, 2017 regular meeting of the City Commission.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Certainly good news. Anytime that we can keep rates, especially for health, on the same levels they were the previous year. Good news. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes, motion carried. And Commissioner Gary?
I make a motion to establish the thresholds for the calendar year beginning January 1st, 2018 in the amounts of $493 for employees receiving single coverage, $1,031 for employees receiving two-person coverage, and $1,307 for employees receiving family coverage.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item D, under City Manager's report, would provide for the approval of Traffic Control Order 17-04 to provide for 2-hour parking on certain portions of Bingham Avenue. As outlined within the prepared materials, the east side of Bingham Avenue from Maple Street to a point 165 feet north of the center line of Maple Street is currently limited to 10-minute parking. The current 10-minute parking was set in October of 2000 in order to accommodate short-term parking for the auto parts business that was housed at the corner of Maple and Bingham. The Downtown Development Authority has requested that this parking zone be expanded to 2 hours because the 10-minute limit is no longer needed and the 2-hour parking would be better suited for current and future uses. The included Traffic Control Order 17-04 would rescind Traffic Control Order 00-12 and set the parking in the covered areas to 2 hours. It is my recommendation that the City Commission rescind Traffic Control Order 00-12 and approve Traffic Control Order 17-04. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Also, I believe this is Commissioner Baker and Lynn are also involved in that property that abuts that?
That is correct, Mayor. In conversations with the city attorney, it was my understanding that they should inquire about abstention.
Could you, Commissioner Lynn, would you like to inquire about that?
City Attorney, we should abstain?
Yes.
Okay, so,
I like that long dissertation.
so for Commissioner Baker and Commissioner Lynn will not speak on this item. Commissioner Twardy.
Yeah, well, so I have a couple of questions. So
Sure.
my first question, are the meters only on the east side of the street, or are they also, or are they on the east side of the street and the west side of the street?
City Manager.
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. It's my understanding that there are not meters in that specific spot, but it's signed as 10-minute parking.
Okay.
Perhaps the
Meters.
city engineer may add to that, but that's my understanding.
Meters, I think, were just installed.
Okay, it's signed.
Okay, because I live right there. I swear there's meters there now. So, because the only thing that I'm concerned with is on the east side of the street where we have a lot of homes and not a lot of parking. A lot of those people park on Bingham overnight when there is still allowed parking overnight. But I guess I will drive by and look again tomorrow because I'm pretty sure I saw meters.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do we have a motion and support?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Collins.
I'll make a motion that the city commission rescind the traffic order 12 and approve traffic control order 17-4.
Okay.
Support?
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item E, under the city manager's report, would provide for a policy regarding special assessment interest rates. As outlined within the prepared materials, at its October 2nd regular meeting, the City Commission took action to unanimously direct city administration to investigate the City of Sault Ste. Marie's special assessment interest rate and to report back to the City Commission at a future meeting. Information initially presented during the October 2nd meeting in relation to this topic has been included for further reference by the City Commission. Connectedly, City Attorney Canello has advised that the City Commission would have the authority to revise a special assessment that has already been established. Further included for reference is a comprehensive spreadsheet prepared by Assistant Treasurer and Accountant David Pauley detailing special assessment districts created by the city dating back to 1992. As documented, the City of Sault Ste. Marie has utilized a special assessment interest rate of 6% with limited exceptions since 2006. During this time period, the prime rate has fluctuated between 3.25 to 8.25%, with lower interest rates beginning in 2009. An analysis of the prepared information reveals several trends. For example, prime rate exceeded the special assessment interest rates established by the city during the majority of the years between 1992 and 2004, as well as between 2006 and early 2009. In contrast, the special assessment interest rate charged by the city exceeded the prime rate during 2005 at an average exceedance of 1.405% and between late 2009 and present at an average exceedance of roughly 2.7%. As a note, during the examined time period, there were a number of non-bonded projects for which the city charged a special assessment interest rate, such as sidewalk improvement projects. In discussing this topic with other Michigan municipalities, it was determined that it is not uncommon for special assessment interest rates to be tied to prime. Importantly, Finance Director Collins has noted that tying the special assessment interest rate to prime may be preferable to tying it to a bonded rate due to timing issues that may exist between the special assessment process and bond closings. In summary, it is clear that the City of Sault Ste. Marie would have the ability to establish a new policy regarding special assessment interest rates. In the current market, the 6% special assessment interest rate commonly utilized by the city is high. A durable policy, at a minimum, should be predictable, consistent, and equitable, and exist within the parameters of the city charter. As city manager, my recommendation would be to revise existing practices for special assessment interest rates and tie the rates to standards such as the prime rate and/or the borrowing rate for bonded projects within the parameters of the city charter. As a reminder, it must be emphasized that the city charter would limit special assessment interest rates to 6% regardless of any formula selected for the calculation of special assessment interest rates, except for those instances in which the city's bond council advises otherwise for bonded projects. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission direct City Administration to draft a policy that calculates special assessment interest rates for new bonded and non-bonded projects by utilizing prime rate plus 1% and further provides for a maximum special assessment interest rate of 6% utilizing this formula unless otherwise authorized by the City Commission and City Charter for bonded projects, or in the alternative to draft a policy as directed by the City Commission. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Twardy?
Thank you. Well, I had a question too also for the city manager, and then I would like to make the recommendation.
Sure.
thank you for all the work that you did on this. That's great. Thank you for all the information. I also wanted to see if it was possible to use this new finance rate to expand to the West Fourth project that was just completed.
Thank you for those comments. Certainly, my role was assembling information compiled by Mr. Pauly in finance, as well as our finance director in engineering, so appreciate their efforts in this. So I would defer the question on expanding this retroactively to West Fourth, perhaps to the city attorney, if he would not mind elaborating on that topic.
City attorney?
It is possible, but you'll have to go back through the reassessment process. There's no clean amendment path. So basically, you'll have to have your public hearings and notices and everything, but it is possible to redo that assessment.
Okay. So do I just ask for direction then from the city manager to move forward with that? Is that, in my mind, that's sort of the project that brought this to light to me and to Mayor Bosbus. And I think, personally, I would feel remiss if I didn't include them in the new rate. So I'm sort of wondering if we can ask the city manager to.
Yeah, I guess what would be the process? Who would like to answer that?
Well, the process is fairly simple. If the commission desires that the project be reassessed to a different interest rate, they would refer that to the city manager for the city manager to begin that process.
Okay, great.
Maybe we should have a little discussion about how that occurred, because I think the interest rates at this point are about 3 to 3.5%, and we're at 6%. And this is not a CSO, combined sewer overflow project, but just a straight street project. And talking with some of the residents, they felt that it was a bit high for the West Fourth project, and it seemed to at least Commissioner Twardy and myself, and I don't know who else, but we talked about the fact that we should maybe as a city be 1 to 1.5% because of the information, because of the work that we have to do administratively, but to be 2.5 to 3%, sometimes higher, seemed a little high at that point. And then we explained that as people pay off their assessments, we can't go back out until I guess the full amount of the money's taken to pay for the project are put back in. So it does take a number of years over time to get that all back, but. And that's why we started looking at the prime and what other cities do, and it seems that tying it to prime is a good way to do that, and it keeps it really consistent. Where in 6% is the most you can have, where that's not needed, we should back it off and give the benefit to the taxpayers and the city residents, and charge what we think would be a fair amount. That's how it came about.
Yeah.
So if I understand what the city manager is saying is if we want to reconsider that, we can go back and reset and through public hearings and ask, I don't think anybody, at least the residents would have a problem with additional public hearings, but I'd ask the city manager if that's something that would be feasible, and then we'd have to act on it as a commission.
Certainly, that's my understanding that it's feasible, and administration can execute the commission's pleasure on that matter.
Does it, I guess I would ask, does it create any problems for the city in timelines on how bills are paid or that kind of stuff?
It's my understanding that this has not been fully finalized by the finance department, the last that I inquired with it, and that this is a project that has not been fully moved through the process, the West Fourth project.
Okay.
Okay.
We could hear from the rest of the city. You'd like to make maybe
I'll make a motion, yeah. That's okay.
See where it goes.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to ask the city manager to include the West Fourth project should we make a motion then to accept the new finance rate first and then
I would
go
think,
back?
yeah, we're dealing with this at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to ask the city manager to go back through and have public hearings to readjust the finance rate for street construction assessments.
I guess what I would look at is that we deal with this to start with, and then if we wanted to add to the agenda, it would have to take a unanimous vote of the commission to add that
Okay.
item, or wait till the next meeting
Okay.
and put it on. Commissioner Gary has a,
Aren't we
Fine.
directing the city commission to draft a policy, and then we'll have to approve the
See,
policy,
that's
correct?
what
So I think
Mhm.
we're getting a step ahead of ourselves.
Okay,
Okay.
that's why I was asking. Okay, so then, that being said, I make a motion to draft a policy that calculates special assessment interest rates for new bonded and non-bonded projects by utilizing prime rate plus 1%, and further provides for a maximum special assessment interest rate of 6% utilizing this formula unless otherwise authorized by the city commission and the city charter for bonded projects.
Support.
it's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Hearing none, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Boskus.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. And at this point, I guess I would ask the city attorney, can you add or do we wait until this comes back to us and then talk about West Fourth?
I think you're on the topic now, so you should add West Fourth to the agenda.
The agenda, okay, thank you. Commissioner Twardy, you making the motion to add it to the agenda?
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to add West Fourth project to the agenda. Thank you.
Just to add it to look into the possibilities of the...
Support for that.
Yep.
Yeah, support.
Okay. Support? Okay. Understanding to add that item to the agenda, you'd have to have unanimous discussion, Commissioner Bauer?
Didn't Commissioner Gary just mention that with the original motion, I mean, shouldn't we wait to see what the recommendation is from the city administration before we decide whether or not to include, that project? Shouldn't we wait and see what that recommendation is? We don't know what that recommendation is, right?
We're not, as I understand, we're not recommending an interest rate at this point.
Yeah,
We just want to include it as a project that could be included. Because this one doesn't talk about previous projects. Right, this recommendation talks about going forward.
Right. And the West Fourth project hasn't been finalized yet, correct, city manager?
Correct. There is at least one more step on the processing of the special assessment for the West Fourth Avenue project. And the motion that commission adopted applies to new bonded and non-bonded projects. With city administration will be drafting the policy for return.
And we're just asking, as I understand the motion, we would be asking them to consider West Fourth
Fourth.
when they're drafting that policy to include that street project also.
Okay.
Okay? Everybody understand the motion? Okay. In order to add it to the agenda, we need, again, 7-0. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Boskus.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Commissioner Twardy, so that your motion would be to add that
Right.
consideration.
Consideration, yep. Thank you.
Okay, we need that as a motion, I would understand?
Oh, yeah. So I would like to make a motion to add West Fourth into the consideration when we
Consider the policy.
calculate the new assessment rate.
Support.
Everybody understand the motion?
We got it.
Yeah. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Boskus.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay.
Item F, under the city manager's report, is the 3-month budget review as of December 30th, 2017. On this matter, Finance Director Treasurer Collins will present to the commission and community.
Evening, Kristen.
Hello. Okay, we're 3 months into the year, and so that's 25%. And I've reviewed the revenue and expense for the city. The first part of my review, I'm going to skip unless anybody has any questions for the budget revisions you all have approved year to date. I just summarized them. Okay, so I'm skipping forward to general fund revenue, and we had some positive news from the state. We have an increase in constitutional revenue sharing of $68,900 and statutory revenue sharing of another $11,400. So that was the good news. The bad news is fire protection service is expected to be down $23,100. So between the two, we have a net revenue increase of $57,200. Net increase on revenue. So general fund expenses, we have a suggestion due to the MTT cases and wanting to isolate those expenses from our regular operating. We have a little bit in assessing and a little bit in finance, and so the city manager and I spoke about isolating these costs and putting them in the city attorney's department. Thank you, Steve. So we expect cost of around $70,000 for the Cascade Crossings case, and then we deduct an amount that is the participating units share to bring that down to a revenue in that, expense budget of $46,200. And then to come up with those funds, we're moving $16,000 out of finance and $17,000 out of assessing. Those were costs that were built into our operational budgets for these types of cases. And then the remainder has to come out of contingency of $13,200. Are there any questions on that area? Okay. I'll move on to the next item, which I'm going to skip ahead, and that's the police and fire paid holiday. And I made a typo in here. It says worked holiday. It's unworked holiday. So this is a contractual obligation, and it was erroneously left out of the budgets. So we have $33,500 for police and $26,100 for fire and ambulance. I'm going to skip the $1,500 airport one, unless anybody has any questions so far, and skip ahead to the carbide dock. We estimate $7,000 annually for the agreement with Famous Sulaks Cruises Sioux Historic Sites for the mooring ships and the cruise ships. And then we have a surprisingly large increase to our workers' comp annual premium of $54,700. So that rounds out the general fund with an increase in several areas. The next fund I'm going to skip ahead to is the DDA. The DDA had some grant revenue from the Sioux tribe and another organization, and there were small little grants. There was bike repairs, there was a relocation of a kiosk, and there was a pocket park something or other, and they totaled $11,300. So I'd like to add that amount to the revenue in the DDA and then add that to the expense side as well. Any questions on those? I'm sure that Justin has told you all about them. The next item I'm going to skip over to the little corrections that I want to make that don't require commission action, and I want to jump to the positive number in the sewer and water fund. Our revenue appears to be on target. So unlike last year that I came to you and told you how sad it was, $300,000 and everything, this year we seem to be on track. Revenue and consumption are down, but we budgeted for that. So that is working out well. The second to last one is the Internal Information Systems Fund. At budget time, we took the revenue and we left it the same, but we took all the expense sides that are charged to the various departments for IT services, and we cut the budgets there. Well, I didn't catch that and didn't go in and reduce the revenue as well. So this is just kind of a housekeeping matter, but it's a lot. It's $59,200 less in the first year and $61,000 less in the second year. And that's an internal service fund, so it's all within the city. No money's going out. And the last one is the PEHP plan. At budget time, we did not know that the police sergeants were going to be paying out distributions to their retirees. And so the budget was approved without that. And when that happened, I put it in my little file to keep for the first quarter. So this is the sergeant's PEHP payment to retirees. I'd like to request a budget for $127,200. And then we also did the actuarial services at $4,500. So I'd like to get the budget to be approved for that as well. Are there any questions on any of those? I went pretty quick. Okay, thank you.
City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. We'd just like to compliment Director Collins for her work. As Finance Director, it's a difficult job, but one that's done with great skill, along with her employees. Just to note a few other areas from this presentation. Appreciation for our partners in the Michigan Tax Tribunal efforts. They are contributing $23,800 to those efforts in conjunction with the city. Also to note that the street funds are within budget at this current point in time. And as the Commission is aware, as the next 2 to 3 to 4 years progress with serious decisions involving MERS and pension plans, Michigan tax tribunals, and our continuing efforts to make Sault Ste. Marie a great place to live and embrace placemaking, certainly there is a lot of heavy lifting to be done in the future with the budget. But right now, we are. I would classify it in a stable condition at this point in time.
Okay, excellent. Commissioner Twardy?
Thank you. Well, I was excited to hear that revenue sharing went up this year, so maybe continuously asking over and over and over again for revenue sharing to go up. So, and it was great that both of them went up, not just constitutional, which that's the one that usually goes up. But we need to make sure that we continue to ask for more police or for fire protection services, because being a small town like we are that is only governmental run, we have so many governmental buildings that we don't have enough fire equipment to take care of and manage properly. So that also needs to just stay right at the top of our agenda list when we go down and we talk to our legislators. And in my mind, fire protection is very important.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion. Commissioner Gary?
I would make a motion to approve the proposed budget amendments as presented.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Boswis.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item G, under City Manager's report, would provide for approval to enter into closed session to discuss collective bargaining. As commissioners are aware, administration has been engaged in discussions with the Department of Public Works, police officers, police records, firefighters, and clerical bargaining units for successor collective bargaining agreements that would become effective retroactively on July 1st, 2017. Section 8C of the State of Michigan Open Meetings Act specifically states that a public body may meet in closed session for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the Commission enter into closed session for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with collective bargaining agreements in accordance with Section 8C of the State of Michigan Open Meetings Act at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lynn?
Your Honor, I so move the city manager's recommendation
Support.
to a closed meeting.
It's been moved, supported. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Mayor Boswis.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. That concludes the city manager's report.
It does. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay. Item number 7 is status reports. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. On this matter, Deputy City Manager Clerk Troyer will present to the Commission.
Okay.
Thank you. As Mayor Boswis indicated at the beginning of the meeting, tomorrow is Election Day in Sault Ste. Marie. Voters will be asked to select a mayor for a 2-year term and 3 city commissioners for a 4-year term. The polling locations will open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. And just as a reminder, the city polling locations, Precinct 1 is at the Presbyterian Church located on Bingham Avenue. Precinct 2 is at St. Joseph's Church on Minneapolis Street, which was previously Lincoln Elementary School. So just as a reminder, that polling location has changed. And likewise, Precinct 3, which is the Smart Zone building located on Meridian Street, That polling location was previously Washington School, so voters will go to the Smart Zone building on Meridian Street. Anybody who wants to view the ballot before they go to the polling location can go to www.michigan.gov/vote. You can find out where your polling location is, contact information for my department, or to view a sample ballot. Also, the organizational meeting for the City Commission will take place next Monday, November 13th, here in the City Commission chambers at 4 p.m. At this meeting, the existing commission will be seated and will be asked to approve the minutes from this meeting. Following the adjournment of that meeting, the newly elected mayor and City Commission will be sworn in. A mayor pro tem will be elected from the commissioners, and the meeting schedule will be set for the next 2 years. And various appointments of commissioners as liaisons to the various boards will be made at that meeting as well. I've also scheduled pictures to be taken of the existing commission and the incoming commission, so if you plan accordingly, we'll do that either prior to the start of the meeting or following the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Anything additionally, City Manager?
Just that administration certainly appreciates the partnership with the Presbyterian Church, St. Joseph, and the Breeder Building at EDC for collaboration with the polling locations, and many thanks to the clerk's office for their fortitude this year in election administration.
Okay. Item number 8, matters presented by the public. Is there anyone in the audience that can make a comment at this time? Josh Billington. If you'd identify yourself for the record, Josh, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Josh Billington, 334 East Water Street. Since I'm a new resident in town, I spent quite a bit of time at Kent Marina this past summer. And for Engineers Day, there was a tremendous amount of foot traffic in front of my house, which I loved because I grew up in Chicago and I'm used to that stuff. But I spent some time at Kent Marina, and I thought, oh, the 350th is coming up. And I was looking at the signage around Kent Marina, and I kind of felt that it was pretty unwelcoming and mildly off-putting. So I've printed off a little bit of a sign and maybe a recommendation to see if the City Commission would maybe consider reauthoring and taking down some excessive signs that are there, particularly the absolutely no signs and the under surveillance signs, of which there are an excessive amount. So I'll pass these out if I could. Sure. And leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thanks. No.
Thanks, Josh.
And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Fire Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Approximately 3.5 months ago, the Commission had agreed to purchase a new ambulance, and the ambulance was delivered last week and put into service. And for your viewing pleasure and everybody here, I do have the ambulance parked out in front of the building for you to see.
Oh,
thank you.
Excellent. We'll look at that after the meeting. Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll go into item number 9, which are matters presented by the City Commission. Let me begin by just saying farewell to one of our commissioners who's been here nearly 30 years, 29 point something. Bill Lynch.
My son was not clapping.
Well, you know, it goes without saying, you know, you retired once in 1999, and after a short spell of about 6-8 years, you came back in November of 2006. After the commission requested, you fill a vacancy, which certainly was a trying time in the city at that point. Your presence on the commission, as I would see it, I'm sure Commissioner Bauer was here at the time, to really calm the waters. There was some very rough turbulence during that time, and Bill saying yes to being part of the commission at that point just brought us to a new era, which we continue to benefit from, I think, going forward. But he certainly will be missed. The family, the Lynn family,
Thank you.
I thought I'd get through that. A tremendous family in this community. They share the wealth, have since day one. We appreciate that. You know, the rest of the committee, well, we do have, since you go to Japan and you enjoy the flavors over there, we decided that the sake would only rest in your home. Not very long, I'm sure. So
Not long.
we'd like to present you with that, and certainly appreciate your involvement, and going forward, your retirement, I'm sure you'll be with the grandchildren in both locations. Thanks, Bill.
Regifting.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate that very much.
Sure. I know some of the other commissioners have maybe some words they'd like to say, but I'm done.
The problem with Mayor Bosbos is the same problem I've got. His bladder is too close to his eyes. I want you to think about that.
Maybe you have a prostate problem.
Your last for Commissioner Twardy, sure, you're very good at that.
Yeah. Well, you know, growing up around here, he was always Mayor Lynn. And always as a kid, he was just always a constant person in this community and always made everybody feel welcome and safe, and like that you just were always in a great presence when you were around him. And when I moved back, I realized that he was no longer mayor, but it took me a long time to quit calling him Mayor Lynn, because in my eyes, he will always be Mayor Lynn, because you are certainly an ambassador of this town, and I know we know how much you love this town, just like Mayor Bosbos. And I've been so excited to get to know you over the last 4 years, and I'm honored to be your friend. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And we'll give you the, Jay Gage wants to say something.
Do we have to?
You want him to talk?
That's the celebrity roast.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I want you to know I did drive back all the way from Marquette to make sure that I voted in the upcoming election, so I encourage everybody to vote. But I also came to see the end of an era, the end of an era, not the error, you know. Bill has always been a good mentor to me, and I'm certainly going to be sad to see him go, but, you know, I think that he's done a tremendous job and was always good to me, but I had to throw in one more dig. So for the first time in Sault Ste. Marie history since 1668, Bill Lynn will not be on the city commission. So thank God for that.
Thank you, Jay.
Can I say something about Jay Gage? Okay. I know when you came to me about appointing Jay, and I said, "Are you sure about this?"
Yeah, yes, you did.
And I voted for him, and he was the best surprise to me. I thought he did a great job as a city commissioner and really matured. He still has a long way to go to mature some more, however. But
that's what happens when your expectations are low.
Commissioner Lim, we're going to let you do it one last time.
Oh, okay. As you know, the last few weeks I've been thanking people. I got to get down to the last. First of all, I thank the voters. It's in line elections, and without voters, and you're going to find out tomorrow, you don't serve up here without their support. So I certainly like to thank them for electing me 9 times. In 1971, I took a job at Denmark High School in Denmark, Wisconsin, just outside of Green Bay, and a short time after, I met a very beautiful lady, Mary Lou Zieg. Z-U-E-G-E was her last name, okay? Come from German-Irish background. And in 1973, she accepted my proposal. We got married. And I've been blessed with a lot of great things in my life. One being mayor of the city and a city commissioner. But Mary accepting me as her husband was the best thing that ever happened to me. And from that union, 3 children, Michael, Mark, and Michelle, and I have 6 grandchildren. Michael and Lisa have a boy and a girl, Grady and Ava. Mark, who lives in Leander, Texas, him and his wife Jill have 2 boys, Connor and Jackson. And Michelle, who married Boomer Hill, they have 2 children, boy and a girl, Emery and Boomer. That's his real name, little Boomer. This coming Friday, we'll be celebrating our 44th wedding anniversary. I will not be here for the picture, so I hope you can write my name in somewhere. I'm taking Mary to Las Vegas to celebrate our 44th wedding anniversary, and she told me, Bill, I've been happy 6 years, so I wanted to pass that on. But to my wife, thank you for 44 great years and putting up with me. With that, Your Honor, move to adjourn.
Actually, my apologies, but I did.
You have something?
I did have something, yes.
When you're done, we'll do that then.
Then let me redo the closing again.
And I feel really bad because this has been such a love fest.
Yeah.
And everybody's crying and everything. Jeez. No, actually, this is my last meeting as a city commissioner anyway. And before I left the house, I said to Joan, I said, well, this is my last meeting as a city commissioner. And she said, well, try to enjoy it. And I said, hey, why start now? Right? But I got a Facebook message. This was on Wednesday. And the only reason I bring it up, and I was going back and forth in my mind, should I bring this up or not? Because it's so close to the election, and I really don't want anybody to accuse me of trying to, upset the apple cart with this. But this was only brought to my attention on Wednesday, and I thought to myself, you know what? The day after tomorrow, I may be no longer relevant around this side of the dais, or I may be very relevant, but either way, this is going to be really, and I think from me, especially over the past, years that we've worked together, those of us who have worked together for so many years, that I believe that you don't regret the things that you do, you regret the things that you don't do, so therefore I want to bring this up before tomorrow. And this comes from Jenny Gillott, who was one of the petitioners who had signed the petition in regards to the Larry Bittner property that we discussed in August. It says, Ray, I've been wanting to get back with you on the Larry Bittner property and the petition that we all signed and turned in. You stated at the meeting on TV that none of us were there that signed the petition to defend our case. Just letting you know, I got a call from the mayor just before that meeting telling me it was already a done deal and would be a waste of time to show up. Also, a city commissioner also told me the same thing. That is why none of us were at the meeting that night. We all thought, why bother when every one of you had already decided without listening to the facts? And I asked Oliver Turner, when I read that, I asked him about that, and he said that he did receive a post from her after that meeting, and he asked her if she wanted the commissioners to know, and she said yes, and he asked her to write an email in regards to that, which she never wrote. Is that correct, Ollie? Okay. So that is in my last time behind this microphone, other than to close this meeting as a city commissioner for the three people who are probably watching at home and for anyone else who is going to get wind of this message. I strongly urge everyone to come to meetings, to ask questions, to let their opinion be heard, to volunteer for the committees, to run for public office like I did, like we did, and if you're so elected, then serve to the best of your ability. But don't ever be afraid to come to a city commission meeting. Don't ever be afraid to call your city commissioners or your mayor. That is your right as a citizen, and I don't want anybody to ever forget that. And that's it.
I got to respond to that because I certainly, and I'm not calling Jenny a liar, but the way, I was just trying to think of how, that's not something that I would do to a person that would want to come and speak to the commission. So I just don't, I don't speak like that, Commissioner Bauer. Anybody that knows who I am, if you want to come to the commission and speak, that's why we're here, and that's why we try to be as transparent as possible. There are no done deals, and I do not say until the commission votes any I could ever remember saying that it would be a done deal. If you want to come and speak to a commission at a commission meeting, that is totally within the parameters, and hopefully that message gets out that there are no done deals up here. I don't even speak to many commissioners about particular items. So, you know, it is what it is. And if she thought that that was implied, I don't even remember talking to Jenny about Mr. Bittner's situation. So I'm sorry if she felt like that, but I would never. I think the people that know me understand that that is not how I speak in public about the commission, about done deals, about any of that stuff, and never have and never will. So that's all I have to say about that. Commissioner Lynn.
Your Honor, for my last time, I got two tonight, though. This is my second one. I move to adjourn this meeting.
Support.
Then move forward. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Have y'all choking out?